Hey, everybody, Economic Ninja here. I hope you are doing well. We're going to be talking about economics. We're going to be talking about what happened as Russia moved into Ukraine, the supply chain issues. Well, actually, we don't have to talk about that much because everybody knows. We saw absolute carnage in markets. We saw supply chains come to a grinding halt, specific ones, primarily some natural resources. Oil exploded in price because of key shipping routes that were either blocked off or ships didn't want to travel through, all of that stuff. But today, we're not going to be talking about Russia and Ukraine. We're going to be talking about China and Taiwan. I've got a very important story that came out last night, and I want to cover this. And the reason why I want to cover it is because I want to show people the possibility that China is going to move into Taiwan. I have been talking about this since about January, that I said that I do believe this is going to happen. We have since seen China come out and talk about saying that they are planning on moving in, whether it be by force or not is yet to be determined. And what I want to talk about is what can happen worldwide in the economic picture. You know, a lot of people focus on what's happening in the country where the two countries are converging and fighting. But there's a lot of other pain that's felt throughout the world. And it's not just money, but it also leads to food shortages and things like that. That could lead to larger tragedies on a global scale. Okay, so we're going to talk about this. China just pushed Taiwan a little bit. And that's what we're starting to see. We're starting to see countries aggravate other countries. You know, the U.S. has done this before when we, run our destroyer groups or our carrier groups right through around China and these disputed islands, and we do it as a sign. China gets upset and there's saber rattling and people that are throwing insults across each other and threats, right? But it seems like these threats are getting stronger and stronger. So let me share the screen. We're going to talk about this for a second. And that's I'm going to link this story below, and it's entitled "Large Group of Chinese Jets and Bombers Buzz Taiwan with Island on Heightened Alert." Okay, so it's one thing to do this on just a normal everyday thing. Hey, let's just get a bunch of fighter jets and let's stress out our enemy, right? And I do mean enemy because the threat of China moving into Taiwan is very serious. It is very serious not only for Taiwan but also the global community and economy as well. But right now it's happening on a time that it's Taiwan is on heightened alert. Okay. It says Taiwan's defense ministry has said that Friday, 18 Chinese PLA Air Force jets breached its air defense identification zone in what's being described as the largest such violation in over 3 months. Fox News said, China buzzes Taiwan with the largest contingent of fighter jets and bombers in more than 3 months, one day after Japanese Prime Minister visits 10 Downing Street and ahead of Biden's trip to East Asia later this month. I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think that meeting is going to end up happening. As is typical of such breaches, which over the past 2 years have become more and more regular, occurring on a weekly basis, Taiwan's Air Force scrambled its own fighter jets to warn off PLA jets. I'm going to explain some things in a second. We're going to go through a couple more lines. This new incursion involved 6 Chinese J-11 and 6 J-16 fighters, which were escorting a pair of H-6 bombers, according to defense ministries. This isn't just a couple of jets, okay? This is, I'll explain in a second. And Reuters underscores that currently Taiwan is in a heightened state of alert due to fears China could use Russia's invasion of Ukraine to make a similar military move on the island. That is something that I do believe China could be doing because there's so much else going on in the world right now geopolitically. This would, in a lot of government officials' minds, probably be the perfect time to strike if they're going to do it. It says right here that the number of aircraft involved was well off the last large-scale incursion, which is 39 Chinese aircraft on January 23rd. And since then, such flybys have been with far fewer aircraft. All right, so let's stop sharing this. I'm going to link it below so you guys can take a look at it. This is my point. Right now, essentially what China seems to be doing is trying to push Taiwan to do something irrational, right? And that is what is very frightening. As these countries keep, China keeps pushing and pushing. They're not only pushing Taiwan to do something stupid, and stupid is such a horrible word, actually. Let me back up here. They want to put them into a position where they feel that they have to defend themselves. And when they go to defend themselves, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, green light, here we go, right? And that's what's scary, is because it's like the Cuban Missile Crisis, when we came seconds from disaster because everybody had their finger on the button. And we only know now how, quite frankly, tense it was back then for both the United States and Russia. And I'm sure the rest of the world that was watching, you know, as far as leaders of countries that were in the know at the time, right? Right now, we have a kettle that is boiling, and it is about to boil over. We already have one very, very big war going on. And I mean big on the scale that it is affecting the entire world's commodity and food supply chain right now. I mean, this is absolutely insane, especially because we're coming out of the world being on global, you know, let's all close and go home kind of thing, for lack of better term. Sorry. There's very serious ramifications here. And this is why it's very important to be ready, have food stored, have water filters. Why? Because is it doomsday? Not necessarily, but it could be for a lot of people. I mean, look at what's going on in Sri Lanka with riots that are going on. There's already food costs have exploded. There's some shortages going on. You don't want to be a part of that. And quite frankly, we're already in the middle of a market meltdown as well. China itself is having massive issues in its markets, between its commercial mortgage-backed securities collapse, which is bleeding into its markets. You know, this is, if you think about it, what do they say? It was a Gerald Celente. It says, when all else fails, they will lead you to war. When all the propaganda isn't believed, let's lead them to war. Let's give them a new narrative. And that's what I'm concerned with. And so that is why today is the best day to go and get yourself prepared. Have a little bit of cash on hand somewhere if your bank's closed down. Have some extra food. Have some, I mean, sounds funny, have some extra toilet paper. Don't be one of those guys at the store in a line because you don't got toilet paper. I mean, honestly, this is the point where you go and get some extra stuff. Get some provisions. Don't store up tons of plastic water bottles. Go get yourself a good water filter. I mean, be logical. Don't go overboard. Be diversified in preparing, because even, let's say, none of this happens, which I'm sure none of you are really saying, yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. But let's say none of it happens. Then what do? You get to use all this stuff. You're still going to go eat food and have to use some toilet paper. That's the good news. And you know what's funny? You're probably going to sit back and go, ha, and since I was prepared, I saved myself from inflation, because, you know, the Federal Reserve ain't doing anything about that. All right, guys, that being said, I'm going to link the story below. Thank you to all the new subscribers. Thank you to all my longtime subscribers. You are awesome. Ninja Nation is prepared and not scared. Guys, as this collapse keeps getting worse, although I think it's going to little dip up before it goes way down, we're going to absolutely crush it, guys. This is awesome. We're going to be good human beings, help out other people, but we are going to get wealthy doing it. All right, guys, that being said, I thank you so much for watching. The Economic Ninja is out.